Hello. Welcome to another session of Love Fest. I'm going to wait just a moment, allowing a few of you a chance to find me on here before I introduce myself and my lovely cat assistant who is with me here today. So if you jump into this live stream, say hi to me in the chat so I know you're with me. I am so excited for this third and final day of Love Fest. I hope you all have been having a really fun time meeting all sorts of really amazing graduates of Corinne's Angel Alchemy Academy. So just waiting a second to introduce myself to allow a couple of you to find me live. Hi, Pam. Thanks for letting me know you're here, and thanks for coming live. I am joined today with my cat, Vargas. He's never one to miss a live stream. He loves the Akashic Records. So he'll be hanging out with us today, looking as cute as can be. How are you doing today, Pam? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the third day of Love Fest. Yeah, Pam, Vargas is loving Love Fest. He loves getting his lap time. Hey, Steve. Thanks for coming. I am, oftentimes I'm jealous of your weather in Texas. I'm in Minnesota, and it's actually unseasonably warm in Minnesota right now. It's about 55 degrees out, but today is the last day that it's going to be that warm. I think going forward, like at most, it's going to be mid 30s, which is much more like November normally is in Minnesota. I am doing good today. I'm excited to see you all here. And I've been really excited about this Love Fest. Corinne has been putting Love Fest on for a number of years, and I think it's so fun to be able to see all the magic of her graduates over all the different years of her program. So for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Amber Maier, and I'm a graduate of Corinne's Angel Alchemy Academy as well. Oh, Pam, you grew up in Marshall, Minnesota, and your husband's family is in the Minneapolis area. Yeah, I'm in the Minneapolis area too, like in a southern suburb. Oh, yeah, Steve, it's 80 there. I suppose this is probably the time of year that you just love it in Texas, because I have to imagine it's probably way too hot oftentimes in the summer. Hey, Joanna, good to see you. So, like I said, I'm Amber Maier. I am, I only see Facebook user. It doesn't show me your name, but you have family from Duluth. That's such a beautiful area. The North Shore of Minnesota. If anyone ever gets to Minnesota, it's absolutely the place you have to go. It goes along the Lake Superior, which when you're on the shoreline of Lake Superior, it looks like you're on an ocean. It's really beautiful. So I am Amber Maier. I'm a graduate of Corinne's Angel Alchemy Academy. This is Vargas, my cat. He loves to do all live streams with me, so you'll see him yucking it up, looking as adorable as he can today, which he's very good at, and he knows it. What I'm here to do is to share the magic of the Akashic Records with you. And I really fell in love with the Akashic Records because as a soul alignment coach and teacher, I really help people discover your soul purpose and awaken your gifts and help you move past your blocks so you can fully embrace your purpose and your power. And I found that the Akashic Records are an amazingly powerful tool to really help you understand your purpose and your gifts. And so I'm excited to be able to share these with you today. And what I want to do is actually have you experience your own power in the Akashic Records. So instead of me giving you readings, I want you to be able to experience reading your own records so you can see what a powerful oracle you are. So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to share just some of the basics about what the Akashic Records are and why you should even care. Like, how can the Akashic Records help you? And give you just like the super down and dirty on how to get into your Akashic Records so you can experience it for yourself. So, there is going to be a couple things that you're going to want for this session. I would suggest having some sort of paper pen so you can jot down any guidance that you receive from your Akashic Records. And then I also want you to start to think about a question or two that you want to get real guidance on today. So I would say, like, pretend like if you were to get a reading today, what is that question that you would ask? And go ahead and write that question down as well. We're going to do a fun experiment where you're actually going to be able to experience the difference between receiving guidance from your intuition compared to your Akashic Records. So you can start to think about what those questions are now. And I'll be sharing some of the really fun ways that you can explore in the Akashic Records, and that might give you some ideas for questions as you get into your Akashic Records too. Hey, Jenny, and hey, Susan. All right. Oh, and moving to Maui, November 30th. Wow, that will be an amazing place to be. I went to Kauai for the first time. I've never been to anywhere in Hawaii, and I went to Kauai earlier this year in the summer. Oh my gosh, I never wanted to leave. It was so gorgeous. And I think, isn't Maui the heart chakra of the world, if I remember right? So there's just so much love energy around Hawaii. Hey, Gabriella. Hey, Marty. Okay, so like I mentioned, you are going to learn about the Akashic Records and you're going to be able to experience it for yourself. I really want you to know what a powerful oracle you are and that you can access your Akashic Records and get the guidance that you need from your angels and guides in that space. And so, probably the most common question I actually get about the Akashic Records are, Akashic Records, what the heck is that? Because it's not a real intuitive word, is it? So if I were to rename the Akashic Records, if that power was suddenly bestowed upon me, I would call the Akashic Records your soul records. I think it's so much easier to understand. And it's really an energetic recording of your soul's journey over every lifetime. Excuse me for 1 second. It's also dry in Minnesota, so my throat gets dry. And so I like to think of the Akashic Records kind of like an endless library of your soul, or I think even better, maybe a little bit more modern, would be to consider your Akashic Records like the internet or a database, like a really, really powerful Google search. And so the Akashic Records contains tons of information about every moment that your soul has experienced, every choice that your soul has ever made. And the other thing to know too is that the Akashic Records actually goes beyond the single soul and also includes all knowledge through all consciousness. So you can do some really, really fun collective readings and really get a better feel for collective truths and energy that is happening as well. And so a lot of people are like, well, okay, then why Akashic? Like, what does Akashic mean? And so Akashic is actually formed from the word Akasha, which is a Sanskrit word. And it basically is loosely translated to like ether or spirit. And so really it's energy in its earliest state. And so people really often will visualize the Akashic Records as like a great hall or like a library in the heavens. And this is really to make the idea of it more logical or comprehensible. But of course, in reality, the Akashic Records isn't a location. So that's one thing to consider when you're going into your Akashic Records. And I'll talk a bit more about this too. A lot of people expect that they're going to see a great library or they're going to see these old volumes of books in front of them or old scrolls. And I would say most people probably don't. Some people do, but a lot of people don't actually visualize something like that as they go into the Akashic Records. So I want to share that right away. So when you go into your Akashic Records, you're not feeling like you're doing anything wrong if you're not seeing anything. Oh, and okay, I'm reading your comment. Maui is the heart chakra of the earth. Yeah, manifestation center of the world. Yeah, I could totally feel that. Yeah. Awesome. So then you might be asking yourself, well, why would I want to access my Akashic records? And I find the Akashic records to actually be a really powerful healing tool. So of course you can get guidance from your Akashic records, but I find there's so much healing in doing so as well. And so you can gain insight about your soul's purpose in this life. You can understand lessons that your soul's learning, and you can get answers to all sorts of other questions that you might have to help you heal and move forward in this life. So I find the Akashic Records just an amazingly powerful tool for your awakening and healing journey. And so I wanted to briefly share a few of the different ways that accessing the Akashic Records can help you. And again, if you're not quite sure what question you want to ask your Akashic Records when I lead you in to show you how to access your own Akashic Records today, think about some of these topics, and I'm guessing you might have some different questions bubble up for you. So the number one thing I love looking at and exploring in the Akashic Records is soul purpose. And so I think it's just this amazing place to really explore and learn more about your soul purpose, understand why you're here, what you're meant to be and do, and the higher calling that you might have in this world. Like a lot of you are probably here because you feel like you have this bigger purpose. It feels like something is missing in your life. And the Akashic Records can really help you tap into what that is. And the other thing that I've learned about soul purpose through the Akashic Records is that a really big part of your purpose is moving through any lessons or soul growth that your soul has decided that it wants to experience before you incarnated in this life. So having a better understanding of that can help you understand really the bigger themes that you have in your life and help you really stay on your path. Another question I often hear when people are familiar with the Akashic Records is, they say like, oh, I've heard of the Akashic Records, isn't that where you explore past lives? And so a lot of people think of the Akashic Records like a past life exploration tool. And that is true. It is an amazing place to explore your past lives, but I want you to know that it's much, much more vast than that. You can do a lot more in the Akashic Records than that. And but what I can find is that a lot of times if you're looking at, what are some of the challenges that you're having in this lifetime, or if there's patterns and things that show up, a lot of times those do actually start in a past life, and you can get glimpses of what created that and be able to do some healing to let go of some of that energy. Oh, Corinne is here. Hi, Corinne. And I bet this is the real Corinne. I think hopefully you all have seen the posts online that there's, kind of some spammy people who are pretending to be Corinne. So if it starts to happen in this live where you suddenly are getting messages from Corinne that says, I have a special message for you, become friends with me on Facebook or send me a DM. The real Corinne will never, ever, ever do that to you. And neither will any of us who are on live here with you either. So in case you haven't seen those messages, I wanted you to know that as well. Hey, Jill, good to see you too. Okay, so Akashic Records, super amazing to be able to explore your soul purpose and really understand like where you're in alignment with it, maybe where you're not, help you get on track on your path, helps you explore your past lives. Another really powerful part of the Akashic Records where I think it can really help you do some deep healing. Corinne, hey lady, it's the real me. I'll cuss if you want me to prove it. Awesome. We would all love that, Corinne. So the Akashic Records are a great place to get clear on the lessons that you're working on in this lifetime. So like I mentioned, a big part of your purpose in this lifetime is to grow and develop as a soul and continue to increase your level of consciousness. And so if we've left a previous lifetime without mastering a lesson, then we're going to carry it into each lifetime after that until our soul experiences the growth and the healing and the wisdom that it needs in that area. And so lessons are often going to show up in your lifetime as patterns. So that might be something just to think about real quick. What are the annoying patterns that keep showing up in your life? I'm betting all of you could probably think of at least two right now that probably just immediately pop into your head. Like maybe you always have just enough money, but then something always comes up and you just kind of stay in that spot. Or maybe you always seem to date, like it's like the same person, just in a different body. Maybe it's someone you find yourself always having to take care of or something like that. So those would be patterns. And so the Akashic Records are really awesome at giving you clarity on what's causing you to get stuck in those patterns and what you need to do to heal. And what I've found over time is that these patterns are very often linked to unconscious beliefs that we carry from past lives. So the Akashic Records are a really beautiful place to help you understand these unconscious belief patterns or programming that we carry. In the Akashic Records, again, I see a lot of them coming from past lives, but you can actually find these from your childhood, from collective conscious, from generations of your ancestors. These can come from all sorts of places and just kind of really punk you in your life. And it can be so helpful to just get to the bottom of it. Like, what are those actual beliefs that are creating all these things that maybe you're not wanting in your life? Amanda, you thought of dog shit and unclench your butt cheeks when you said that. That is hilarious. Love it. Love it. Yeah, and I'm seeing a pattern for one of our listeners is esteem issues, old boyfriends. Yeah. Yeah, Corinne would definitely say something about butt cheeks. I don't know if you can have a conversation with Corinne and not have something come up about butt cheeks, actually. We might have to prove that. So, getting back to the Akashic Records, another really awesome place to explore in the records is relationships. So it can be really helpful to gain deeper insight and understanding of your relationships. You can discover the purpose, the history, the challenges that you and another soul have agreed to in this lifetime, how you fit into each other's soul group. But then more importantly, how can you support each other better in this lifetime, or like what healing does your relationship need? Butt cheeks are totally Corinne's jam. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad I could come online today and talk about butt cheeks. I'll have to figure it out. Maybe the Akashic Records can help you understand your butt cheeks better too. We can tie it in with the Akashic Records somehow. So another really fun thing you can do in the Akashic Records is explore and develop your spiritual gifts. So that's one of the things that I am asked very often in the Akashic Records are like, I know I have some gifts, but what the hell are they? And so you can get a better understanding of what the gifts are that you're bringing into this lifetime, how to develop them, maybe what's keeping you stuck and from really developing them, like what your blocks are and what you can do to move past those blocks. So I spend a lot of time in the Akashic Records there. It's a really fun place to explore. So the Akashic Records, I find, even though it's considered a guidance tool, I consider it a healing tool. I think it's just can bring so much profound healing into your life. There's so much healing available just getting answers to your questions. What I think you're doing really is like you're making the unconscious conscious. So you can be aware of the beliefs and causes to some of your issues. So then you can start to change your actions and your behavior so you can finally get a different result. The other thing to note is that the energy in the Akashic Records also vibrates at a really, really high rate. So simply spending time in the Akashic Records can really bring in a lot of healing and cast out lower energy in your life too. So I get super, super excited to talk about the Akashic Records because I just think it's endlessly fun. There's so much fun that you can have in the Akashic Records, so much exploration, so much healing. So that is why I wanted to bring the Akashic Records to you today. And again, I also want you to see what a powerful oracle you are. So instead of feeling like you have to go to someone else to get answers, I want you to know that you are a powerful, powerful intuitive, and everyone has access to their own Akashic Records. So that's what I want to show you today, is how to get into your Akashic Records to be able to get guidance for yourself. So you're going to receive guidance from some angels and guides in your Akashic Records. The one thing to note is if you've been doing intuitive work and you're used to getting, say, guidance from like a very specific angel or guide, you might find that your angels and guides in the Akashic Records are just like a little bit more like faceless and nameless. And if that happens to you, know that that's totally normal. That's how it shows up for most people. Like you're just receiving information from your angels and guides. You still might have a connection to a specific guide. So if that happens, you're also not doing something wrong. But I've heard from enough people, they're like, oh, I normally get information from my guardian angel. And I couldn't tell that that's who I was getting information from. So I just wanted to pass that on. The other thing that I want to share real briefly, this is kind of the down and dirty just of how you're going to receive information from the Akashic Records. So you have just enough information to jump in, is how you're going to receive information from the Akashic Records. And so a lot of times we talk about our intuitive skills as our clairs. And so you have 4 main intuitive skills or clairs. And so if you're a little bit newer to the work, I just want to share a little bit about how the information might come through. So you're not blowing off some of the really subtle, small ways that spirit likes to talk to us. So the first one that most people are familiar with is clairvoyance. This basically translates into clear seeing. And this is the ability to receive psychic or intuitive information through images, colors, symbols. But I want you to think about it like your imagination. I think a lot of people think clairvoyance is like they're suddenly going to have like this vision that's so powerful it stops them in their tracks and they can't do anything but watch this movie that's playing out in front of them. And if that's what you're waiting for, you're probably going to wait a long time. Like that's not how it works for most people. So this is, more like if you were to close your eyes and since we were talking about Maui, let's bring in that beach energy. So imagine you are sitting on a golden beach. You can just see the golden sand shining in the sun. The sky is a beautiful blue. The ocean is just this amazing blue-green. You can see palm trees. So your clairvoyance is like your imagination. And so some of you might see super duper detail in what you're seeing. And then some of you, it might be just kind of fuzzier, like, I know there's a palm tree there. So likely that's going to show up however you kind of imagine things. So if you suddenly just feel like your imagination is going, pay attention to that. That's your clairvoyance. Then there's clairaudience, and this basically translates into clear hearing. So this is associated with your ear chakras. And so this typically is not going to come from outside of your ears. That rarely happens for people. It's almost going to feel like you're listening to your thoughts, or maybe you get really honed in on like a word or a phrase or lyrics to a song, something like that. And so again, it's something you're hearing in your mind. So going back to Maui again, you're on that beautiful golden beach. I want you to imagine that you're hearing the crashing of the waves. Maybe you're hearing the wind rustling those beautiful palm trees. Maybe you're hearing some birds calling. So again, you're not hearing it outside of your ears, you're hearing it in your head. And so that's your clairaudience. Then there's clairsentience. And so this one, who here feels that you are an empath? A lot of times when people think about empaths, they think about that ability to really feel energy. Like I feel people's emotions. Maybe I feel what they have going on in their body. That's clairsentience. So clairsentience translates basically into clear feeling. And so this is the ability to gain intuitive information through feeling. And so you might get that again through emotions. You might feel different emotions, or you might feel different sensations, different parts of your body. Yeah, we definitely have some strong empaths here. So you probably have really strong clairsentience. But a lot of times, we just blow these things off as us because it's in us. It looks like our imagination. It sounds like us talking to ourselves in our head. It feels like the sensations and emotions we feel in our body. But when we get into your Akashic Records today, I want you to really hone in on that stuff. The last clair, I told you that there was 4 I wanted to talk about. The last one was claircognizance. And claircognizance basically translates into clear knowing. And so with this intuitive skill, you just know things. Like you have no previous information or knowledge about a subject or a person, and you just know it. This one's associated with your crown chakra. So this one, like if you ever just feel like you just know something and you have no idea why, or maybe you try to get real logical with it and you're like, maybe this person told me that before, or maybe I was thinking about it because of this. A lot of times it's just your claircognizance coming in and sharing that with you. And so it's going to be different for everybody. You might receive messages through all 4 of these. You might receive messages through one of these, or they might just be super woven together. And so just be really open and aware of these different feelings, sensations, sounds that you might be processing within yourself. I think everyone's probably heard like, oh, your voice of your intuition is really subtle. People use the word subtle a lot, but I think what subtle means is like, it sounds like you, it looks like you, it feels like you. And that's because spirit comes through you. You're a part of spirit. And so I think a lot of us are waiting for something that we can like prove to be true because it's outside of us. But spirit actually comes through us. And that's why it sounds like us, looks like us, feels like us. And a really, really wise woman told me once, Corinne Grillo, this was some of the, I think some of the first advice I remember from her. And so I want to pass it on to you all is she said, it's going to feel like you're making shit up. The sooner you accept that it's going to feel like you're making shit up, the better off you are. It is the best piece of advice ever. And so even after you do this for a really long time, it still feels like you're making shit up. It's really subtle. It comes through you. So I ask you today just to try to put your logical mind aside and, just really allow yourself to just go with any of these feelings, sensations, words, thoughts that come into your mind. Okay, so how are we going to get into the Akashic Records? Let's talk about that real briefly, and then we're gonna start our fun. So there's a bunch of different ways you can get into the Akashic Records, but one of the more common ways is to read what's called a pathway prayer. And basically it's a prayer that is like an energetic imprint of the records, and it really sets the intention of moving into this phase of your records. There are a variety of different prayers that you can use from different authors. From authors. You can create your own. I'm going to share mine with you today. And some people stumble into their Akashic Records through meditation and all these different things. But I really like the pathway prayer process because it's consistent and reliable. I read the prayer, I'm in my records. I read the prayer, I'm in my records every time. So it's just a really easy way to access your Akashic Records. So typically a pathway prayer is going to connect you to a higher power. It's going to seek guidance from beings of light for your greatest good. It's going to help you reduce distractions and like your ego so you can stay grounded in your readings. So I'll be sharing my screen so you can follow along with mine, and I'll walk you through every step of the process once we get to that point. When we're done in your records, I'm also then going to be sharing with you a closing pathway prayer. And so that closes your records. And this one's a lot shorter. And so we'll make sure that we close your records after you're done playing in there today. All right. So who is ready to play in your records and also to experience the difference between your intuition and your Akashic Records? Let me know in the chat. Oh yeah. I'm seeing the be open and aware, clear channel, hollow bone. Yeah, I love the idea of the hollow bone. Is kind of like almost like a old shamanic way of talking about being that channel, like just like being that channel for spirit to pass through. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so reminder again, especially for anyone who came on after I mentioned this, what we're going to do is I'm going to lead us through just a really quick grounding exercise, because I think anytime before you do any sort of intuitive work, whether it's the Akashic Records or anything else, it's always really good to get grounded first. The thing is like your body is actually your most magical device. Like a lot of us reject our bodies like, oh, it's dense and low energy and all the different things you hear, but your body, most magical asset you have. And it actually helps you bring in divine energy and intuitive messages and helps you understand what they are. So you've really got to be connected to your body. So the first thing we'll do is we'll get grounded. Then I had asked you to come up with one question that you want guidance on today in your life. So imagine, you're going to get a reading. What's that one question you're going to ask? So maybe some of the different topics about the Akashic Records sparked some different ideas for you. Maybe you ask about, what's my soul purpose, or what are my main soul gifts? What's blocking me from them? Those are always really fun ones, in case you don't have a question ready. So we're going to get you grounded, and then I'm going to have you ask that question to your intuition. And I'm going to give you just a minute or two to jot down any impressions, feelings, thoughts, knowings that you have down. Then I'm going to pull up the pathway prayer and I'm going to walk you through that. And I'm going to help you open up your Akashic Records. Then I'm going to have you ask the same exact question to your Akashic Records, because I want you to be able to feel the difference between your intuition and the Akashic Records. I'm not going to really give you more information than that because I want you to experience it for yourself. So, does everyone have a question that you want to ask in your intuition and your Akashic Records? Great. Okay, let's go ahead and get grounded. If you're in a place that you can really sit back, relax, close your eyes, do that. But obviously, if you're driving or that sort of thing, safety first. But whenever I do meditations and whenever I ground, I always close my eyes, and simply it's because it brings your awareness within, and it's really that inner awareness that helps you connect to your body and helps you get more embodied. And so just start by connecting to your breath. Just taking a nice, deep, relaxing breath or two. Letting yourself settle into the space of your body. And let's just start to bring our awareness down to our root chakras at the base of our tailbone. And as you bring your awareness down to your root, I invite you just to kind of almost like observe and almost feel out, like, what does it feel like in my root chakra right now? Like when I'm in mine feels kind of like, I almost get this like it's almost like a little tight, almost a little like, short breath in mine. So maybe yours feels like maybe a little tight and anxious, or maybe yours feels just like wide and peaceful and expansive. Just get a feeling. It might be a sensation. It might be a knowing. It might be a word, anything. This just really starts to help you tap into those intuitive senses that you have. And I'm hearing this from your angels. Like, if your root chakra was to say something to you right now, what would it tell you? Maybe it's just a word. So while we're in the space of our root, we're just going to imagine that this energy center just starts to spread open, expand, almost like the edges soften. And that you can imagine almost like roots or cords of energy coming down out through the bottom of your root chakra, out through the bottom of your chair, sending those roots or those cords of light down through the floor, all the way down to the surface of the earth. And go ahead and push those roots, those cords through the surface of the earth. Here's another place I like to check in with my intuitive senses again. Like, what does it feel like now that you're in the energy of the earth? Does it feel different? How does the earth feel to you today? Maybe it feels like cool and moist, almost like you're in the shade. Or maybe it feels like warm sand on a beach. We can bring ourselves back to that beach on Maui. And then with your next exhale, I invite you to send those roots, those cords down deeper into the earth, moving like the speed of light, going all the way down to the center of the earth. And the center of the earth is full of beautiful healing energy. And once you get to that space, I invite you to really anchor yourself into that space to help you really stay grounded and present in your body while we do this work. And so maybe you imagine your energy spreading out like roots of a tree. Or maybe you imagine yourself literally sending down an anchor. Whatever comes up for you. And take just a moment to inhale and take a big full breath of that beautiful earth energy up through these roots, up through your root chakra, and allow this beautiful energy to fill your body. Setting the intention that this earth energy is clearing you from any energy or any blocks that might be keeping you from fully experiencing your intuitive gifts. And exhale anything you're releasing back down into the earth. All right. Now that you are nice and grounded, I want you to take that question you came up with that you want guidance on, and I want you to just ask that to your intuition. So say, for example, if that question was, what is my soul purpose? You can just kind of say in your head, like, intuition, or maybe you like to talk to your higher self, however you want to word it. Intuition. What is my soul purpose? And I'm just going to give you a minute or two of quiet. So ask your question now. Jot down any information that comes up. Just take about another 30 seconds. Receive any words, phrases, images, knowings from your intuition. Take a moment to jot them down so you don't forget. All right, now let's come back together. And hopefully now on the screen, you will see that I'm sharing my screen, and it's my pathway prayer that you can use to get into your Akashic Records. And so I'm gonna briefly run you through the process, then I'm gonna have you do it yourself. So you'll see that there's and at the top it says say out loud. And so this is the part that you are going to say out loud, and you'll just read it word for word as it is on the screen. So I'll read through it really quickly so you get a sense of what that sounds and feels like. Creator of all that is, Archangel Jermael, Raziel, and Metatron, and all the guides of the Akasha, thank you for allowing me to be a clear channel of the truth through the Akashic Records. Keep me grounded, present, and focused, and help me step into my highest self. I ask for the highest amount of healing and guidance available for the greatest good of all. Help me to see myself as I am seen, known, and loved in the light of the Akashic Records. Help me to access the inspiration, empowerment, and power of my soul in the Akashic Records. And help me to share the wisdom, healing, and compassion for me in the Akashic Records. Now you can see that there's instructions that it says the next part to say silently. And so this part, I'm just going to go through the first couple lines. And so if I were to be opening my own records, you can see that it says, help me to see your name in parentheses, and then it has different pronouns. So you just say your full name and your chosen pronouns. And a lot of times people ask, well, what name do I use? My legal name, my birth name, my chosen name. As a rule of thumb, you can start with your legal name. But if there's something that you don't like about your legal name, for whatever reason, use your chosen name. It's really about setting the intention. It's not so much about the name itself. And so if I were to be reading this for myself, reading my own records, it would sound like, help me to see Amber Maier as she is seen, known, and loved in the light of the Akashic Records. Help me to access the inspiration, empowerment, and power of Amber Maier's soul in the Akashic Records. So that should give you an idea there. And then once you work through that part, these lines that you say silently, then you say out loud at the end, the records are now open. And so that announces that your records are open. And you might feel a shift in energy. And so as you're reading this prayer, I want you to be like observing yourself in your inner world as you're reading this prayer. A lot of people find that they can feel different things shifting and opening and changing in their body, or kind of feel like the energy around them as they read the prayer. So, in particular, I would say pay attention to your head and your heart, but you might feel senses different places in your body too. And then the thing that I also invite you to do is that once you announce that your records are open, before you immediately go in and ask that same exact question that you had asked your intuition, just pause for a moment and just notice anything that you might feel, sense, or know about being in the records. Some people will feel different sensations, or maybe they'll feel like intense gratitude or peace, or some sort of other emotion. Some people will see colors. Some people see images or an idea of a place that they're in. And this is again where I want to remind you that if you are opening your Akashic records and you're not experiencing walking into this grand library in the heavens, you are doing nothing wrong. Some people get images as they go in. I would say actually the most people don't. So don't feel like you're doing anything wrong if that happens. Again, it's going to be subtle. So just take that moment, feel it out. Then what I want you to do is to ask that same exact question that you asked your intuition. And then I'll give you just a few minutes in the Akashic Records to receive that information, and then take your pen and paper and jot your notes down about it. So let's get started. So you can see the prayer. Go ahead and start reading the top part out loud now. And then once you get through that first section, say that second section silently to yourself in your head, inserting your name and your pronoun. And once you get through that silent part, then go ahead and say out loud, the records are now open. And again, just take that moment to reflect. What did I feel or just know as I was reading the prayer? Did I experience any shifts in my body? Have any other knowings, things that I saw or heard as I moved into the records? And take just a moment to note those things. And then once you feel like you've experienced what it feels like to move into your records, ask that same exact question that you asked your intuition. Ask it to your angels and guides in the records. It might be angels and guides. For example, what is my soul purpose? So I'm going to give you a minute or two of silence to receive that. Make sure you write down any of the thoughts, impressions, images, feelings, knowings. Jot those things down. And if you feel like you need more information, don't hesitate to ask your angels and guides for more. Tell me more. Show me in a different way. Help me understand this better. You tell your guides and angels what you need. And if you feel like you got all the info you need from the one question and you're done with that, feel free to ask another question. This is your time in the records. So I'm just going to give you another 30 seconds or so. Make sure you're jotting a few notes down about anything that you received. All right, now let's start to come back together. And after you've done a reading in the Akashic Records, you always want to close your records. And so now you can see that there's a closing prayer on your screen. This one's much shorter. And I actually saw a comment that it's a little small to read on your phone, which I could imagine it probably could be. So I'm going to read this one out loud slowly, and feel free to either read it on your screen or just follow along with me. I would like to thank the creator of all that is, and all of the archangels and guides of the Akasha for your love, guidance, and healing. The records are now closed. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. And that closes your records. Joy, yes, there is so much power in this practice. And Barbara, hello. I haven't seen you in way too long, and it is lovely to have you here. I miss practicing with you too. So what I would love to hear, and get your typing fingers ready, I would love to hear what you experienced, reading the prayer and going into your Akashic Records, if you experienced anything, like what that experience felt like, looked like, any of it. But I also would love to hear any differences you experienced between your intuition and your Akashic Records. And so everyone experiences this a bit different. I oftentimes hear some commonalities, but it doesn't necessarily mean if that's not what you're experiencing that it's wrong. Because again, everyone feels this a little bit differently. But what I hear from a lot of people is that when they're reading the prayer, they really start to feel an expansion, either in their heart or in their crown third eye kind of area. And I know for me, that's one of my telltale signs that I know I'm opening up the Akashic Records is as I'm reading the prayer. It's almost like my crown chakra is like poof, poof, poof. Like it just feels like it's becoming so wide open. So that is something that you might experience something like that. And Going into the records, it's so fascinating to hear all the different experiences that people have. There are like a few people that will really clearly see a guide, or they'll see a library or a scroll or something like that. But I actually find that to be the 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 fewest people that have that. I find most people actually connect to a certain feeling when they get into the Akashic records. So know that if you only felt something, that is totally normal, and that it's subtle too. What I experience, and I'll share this too, because trying to translate intuitive information can always be like a little fuzzy too, huh? But it's almost like as I open the records, it's almost like I'm being squished and condensed. Like I almost imagine it like being like sent through like an air duct, something like that. And then I get out of it and it's just this big open expansion. So I don't necessarily see light or color or any of those things, but it's just this super open expansiveness, peaceful energy. Like I almost feel my breath slowing down, like that kind of feeling. Oh, and Jenny, tightness in your head and like your body was just a shell. You saw a woman touching a child on their third eye. Oh, wow. The sound, and yeah, you felt pain and suffering and heard a voice say, fuck this, and then embraced him until the anger left his body. Oh, it sounds like some nice healing came out of that too. That's great. So then also thinking about, was there anything different about how you received messages from your intuition versus the Akashic records? And when I say different, I don't mean that one is right or wrong. So I want to be clear on that. Most of the time people find that the messages are like the same underneath it all. But I actually had a student who described the difference in a way I just loved. She said, getting messages from my intuition was like an appetizer, and getting information from my Akashic records was like a 5-course meal. And so a lot of people will find that in the Akashic records, that the information is just so much more expanded, deeper. There's more information flowing and coming. And then sometimes like your intuition almost feels like a word or a phrase or like a little feeling here. Like it almost feels like just this like little bit, So so it'd be interesting to hear from any of you if that's what you experience too. But oh, I can stop sharing my screen. That would be helpful, huh? All right. Well, I hope you all had a lot of fun in your Akashic records. Congratulations. You gave yourself an Akashic record reading in case you have never been in your Akashic records before. My suggestion would be continue to open up your Akashic records, get to know that energy more, continue to ask more questions of your angels and guides, and really be able to use this beautiful tool. You can always go back and watch the replay to get that pathway prayer if you liked that one, and that you can continue to use that. So let's see. Well, I know I have 1 minute left. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you learned something new and fun about your records, and that you received some really beautiful guidance for yourself today. And if you are interested in learning more about me or the work that I do, I have a link that I shared in the video that you can check some different information out. Feel free to message me directly too. If you're interested in getting an Akashic record reading from me, all my sessions are actually on sale this month, just until Thanksgiving. So you can see that on my website and book there, but you have to book before Thanksgiving. Get on my calendar then. So thank you all for coming and spending this time with me. I hope you've been having so much fun with all these amazing graduates from Corinne's Academy, and I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the sessions today. I'll see you all later. Sending you all lots of love. Bye.